And we are live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Geeking Out with however you want to say it. Yeah, this is a newer live stream that I'm doing. Everybody that's new to the show. I like bringing out guests and having them pick a topic, a comic, a movie, a book, TV show, or multiple things. It doesn't have to just be one topic to geek out about. And this week, I have Johnny from Johnny's Comic Stuff. And let's just bring him out and let him just tell you what he wants to geek out about. Hey, Johnny.
Howdy, howdy. Hey, everybody.
One guess what we're geeking out about. I like your little figures, man. I love that Chewbacca.
Yeah. I got a bunch of them. I've shown it in a video once. They're all around the room. They're Hot Toys 6-scale figures, and they're just great Star Wars display pieces. You know, they're toys, but not toys, so you don't feel bad buying them when you're an adult.
Is that got like real fake fur on Chewbacca and stuff? Or whatever?
Yeah, it's hair.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, that's awesome.
You could comb it. I could part it if I wanted to part him down the middle, like he's been, you know. Superposable.
Big comb over.
You can move him however you want. He's got the belt, you know, the gun belt thing on there.
I really like that Chewbacca, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it came as a set. These two did actually. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they're not cheap. I'm not gonna.
Well, yeah.
Financials, but they're not cheap. But most of the Hot Toys come from. You can get them from Sideshow Collectibles, and they have a lot of cool like collectible stuff. It's comic and comic adjacent stuff. So they do a lot of Star Wars stuff there. They do like the statue, my Joker statue behind there came from there. It's not made by them, but they're kind of like the retailer of it.
Okay.
So yeah, like I said, these are nice because they're set. I thought they'd look good on the screen since we were going to talk about the greatest franchise ever, Star Wars.
Heck
and
yeah,
yes,
man.
There are still Star Wars fans out there.
Yeah, even though that Disney has messed them up a little bit, but with the latest movies, but the old original ones, I think anchor it. Anchor real fans. Still anchor you still have your true blue Star Wars fans, because of those movies. But yeah, so what do you got for us tonight? Or wait a minute, let's say hi to the chat real quick first, Johnny, and then we'll.
All right.
We got a few people here. It's a Wednesday night, so we got K Munin buddy. Let's see, we got Mark. Thank you, Mark, for being here. Good old JSS. What's up, John? Let's see. Jason, archivist Adrift, and that's it for right now. Whoa. Hang on, one more. We got Robbie Joseph.
Stevie D's in there.
I did miss Stevie. Dang. Where's Stevie? There he is. Hey, Stevie, buddy. Didn't mean to miss you. Just looked you over too quick. Let's see. Make sure I didn't pass anybody else up. I don't think so. All righty. Yeah. But, Star Wars.
So I don't know how long your show is. Yeah, I don't know how long your show's meant to be, but I can talk about Star Wars for days. I don't have that childhood memory. I'm a few years too young to have that. My dad took me, or I remember seeing it. So Star Wars, the first movie, actually released before I was born. I was born the following year in 1978. My first memory of the movies was it was like ABC, or they only had like 4 or 5 channels back in the 80s, but every summer they would play them on TV, with commercials, and they'd have like Mark Hamill or Harrison Ford do introductions, and they'd have them like underneath the Millennium Falcon doing the intro. and between the commercials and stuff. So that was like my first exposure to Star Wars was through those primetime TV broadcasts in the summertime, and they did it like every year. Between that and like the Muppets. When I remember when I was a kid, the Muppets always did like parodies of Star Wars.
Right. Yeah.
My dad loved the Muppets.
Me too.
I think I cut out for a second in my back.
Yeah, you're here.
Yeah, my dad was a huge Muppet fan. So we always watched the Muppets as a kid. But I like grew up. I mean, I've probably seen the original 3 movies, God, probably 100 times each, and I could watch it. I could sit down and watch all 3 consecutively right now. Wouldn't be like depressed about it. I wouldn't be like, oh, I've seen this. I know what's going to happen. I would enjoy it just as much as I did 30 years ago.
Yep.
As a teenage kid, I read a lot of the books. It's the first book I chose to read that I wasn't told to read in school was a Star Wars book. They did a nice series of the X-Wing Squadron, and it kind of followed Han and Leia's kids as they were young kids and growing up, and Luke and his relationship with Mara Jade, and it just always was such a great epic story. I mean, I think most people that are true original Star Wars fans would agree that Empire was the best movie. And it's because when it ended, like the good, usually when you watch a movie now, it ends with a happy ending. That movie was like, what just happened? They just killed Han, and what's going on? No one knew, and it was, back then it's like you didn't have the internet to find out what was going to happen next. No one had a clue.
It ends on such a down note.
Yeah,
that's a comment from the movie Clerks. They were arguing about that. He goes, it ends on such a down note.
Nothing ended like that back then. So it was such a, and I was still a little kid then. I was like 4 probably when that came out. But I remember the first time I saw it. I mean, I was like crying. I went to my mom. I'm like, Mom, they killed Han Solo, and my mom knew the story because she was in her like 20s, that everyone in their 20s knew that story. And she's like, it's fine. It'll be okay. I hadn't seen Return of the Jedi yet, even though it was already out. So, when I did see Return of the Jedi, I always loved the speeder bikes. I thought the Ewoks were kind of goofy, but, I liked the AT-STs, the 2-footed walkers. They were so much cooler than the 4-footed ones because they just kind of hobbled through the woods and I just always loved it as a kid, and it's one of those few fandoms. It goes across everything. It goes across TV and movies and comic books and novels and collectibles. I mean, it's in everything.
Yeah.
And the one, like my wife has never seen Star Wars, and it's just like,
wow,
it boggles my mind.
Yeah.
The one thing you can know about how much it transcends everything is I asked her one time, I said, who says, Luke, I am your father? And she's like, oh, that's Darth Vader. And I'm like, that, and you've never seen those movies.
And you never see it. Yeah.
That's how transcending that story is you can never see it, and you know who Yoda is, you know what he looks like. You know who Chewbacca is, and you know what he looks like, even if you've never seen Star Wars.
Yeah, the pop culture of it has really crossed some boundaries there, or not boundaries, but just like you were saying, you don't even have to know the movie and know bits and pieces of it.
Yeah, and some of what the Force is. If you've never seen it, my wife's never seen any Star Wars. She's never seen new movies. She didn't watch The Mandalorian. Like, she knows absolutely nothing other than the pulp culture stuff that just she knows because everyone knows it. Putting your face in the fan as a kid, going, Luke, I am your, letting the fan make the Darth Vader. I mean, every kid did that in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
I do it now. If I see a fan run, I'll still walk up and do it now. And I'm 46 years old. It's still awesome to do it.
Yeah.
The thing I told her, the comparison that I kind of told her too, is she loves Harry Potter. She read the Harry Potter books when they came out in the early 2000s. She loves the story. I said, it is an exact copy of Star Wars. If you've seen Harry Potter and you compare the story to Star Wars, it's exactly the same. You got a main character, Harry, Luke Skywalker.
Yep.
They don't know who their real parents are. Harry Potter didn't know his parents. Luke didn't know who his real parents were.
Right.
Raised by an aunt and uncle who doesn't want him to know anything about it. Exactly replicated the two.
Yeah.
Goes off to learn his thing and meets two other people that he befriends.
Yep.
There's initially a love connection between him and a girl. And then it ends up being the buddy and the girl who are really romantic together. I mean, it's an exact that lady that wrote those books took Star Wars and made it about magic and that story and copied Star Wars. And it's why it's so successful is because that story works.
Yes. Yeah, that format. Yeah, the format of it.
I think a lot of people don't see the parallel between the two. As soon as the first time I ever saw Harry Potter, actually I read the books first. I'm like, this is Star Wars. I'm reading Star Wars. I mean, but if you even the very beginning, like I said, if you start off at the very beginning with just who the main character is, he's exact replication of Luke Skywalker. He has this power that no one really knows and believes is really there. He doesn't know his parents. I mean, there's a little difference there in that Luke's dad is a bad guy, and Harry just doesn't know his parents at all, and they're dead. And it's an old guy is teaching him the ways. It's so parallel. It's such an awesome thing because it took a story that was 30 years old at the time and it revamped it and gave it to a whole new audience of kids in the 2000s, and they didn't even know it. They didn't even know they were being told Star Wars. And you ask kids that love Harry Potter, like, do you like Star Wars? They're like, nah, not really. It's like, you absolutely like, you just don't know it.
Yeah, you just don't know it. Yeah. You need to rewatch it again and tell me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you watch them both, it's like you kind of have that holy shit moment where it's like, wow, this lady didn't write anything original. This is the exact same story. Even the Hagrid character is really paralleled a lot to Chewbacca. He's a big, goofy guy.
Big, hairy dude, Big, oversized, hairy guy.
Yeah, and it's very – and again, it's not a knock on her story because some of the – like Stevie just calls it out. Some of it goes back a long time, some of the base core concepts of the story. And like I remember as a kid in the 80s, I remember dressing up as Yoda. My mom would make the homemade costume, because we were poor. And it was so much cooler than the store-bought costume anyways. I'd have like a burlap sack she cut up and a stick that she got, and I'd walk around with a little stick.
Yeah.
But it's always been there. It's always been like kind of in the background of my life, as crazy as it sounds. Even now, like the new stuff has been disappointing. I still get excited when they say something new's coming because, like, maybe they're going to do it right this time.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah,
and I remember when The Mandalorian came out. I was shocked at the end of that first episode when they show you Grogu and it's like, holy shit, that's a Yoda.
Yeah,
and we don't know anything about Yoda, and that's a Yoda. And wait, he's 50. The Yoda was like 900. And it's like you kind of start. Your head starts running through all these scenarios. Like, what did I just see? What did I just see?
Right.
And it really pulled me back in. I'm like, I'm going to go watch the original. Maybe I missed something they said about Yoda that I'm not getting. And, I can remember, like Rogue One came out. I loved that movie. I thought it was great because it told me the story of what I'd always heard, a lot of people died getting these. Well, they say a lot of Bothans, and there are no Bothans in that story. So I was always like, well, where were the Bothans at?
Yeah.
if you know Star Wars lore, the Bothans they kind of look like dogs. They got, pointy ears and a long nose.
Yep.
But like, I loved it. And then I remember watching, have you seen all The Mandalorian?
Yes.
So like that episode where they're in the thing and, the X-Wing flies in and you don't know who it is. And it's kind of this ominous music. And I mean, I'm feeling it now. Like I started the hair on my body started standing up. And cause like I was 44 at the time, and my whole life of 35 years of understanding and knowing Star Wars, I've never seen my greatest hero as a kid in his prime. I saw him when he was young and learning, and I saw him when he was old and dying. I never saw him. Like I never saw my hero as a child. Like I loved Luke Skywalker. I thought he's the coolest dude, you know, and and I never got to see that. And like when, I mean, I could feel the goosebumps and the anticipation. I mean, I teared up a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a 44, 45-year-old man tearing up thinking I've waited my whole life to see this moment. And it's like, he's just kicking the shit out of those guys. And you're like, man, I hope it's not anybody else. I hope it's Luke Skywalker, but you don't know.
Yeah.
And then they show you the gloved hand. You're like, oh man, Luke had a gloved hand because he got his dad cut it off.
Luke. Yeah.
And it's all black and white. It's like, in my mind, what color is his lightsaber? What color is his lightsaber? You know? And it, like, having that fandom and knowing that if it's a green lightsaber, it has to be Luke Skywalker because he's the only one that has a green light. Like, those little stupid facts that I know about it made that moment so much more awesome for me.
Yes.
You know, when they show that green light, I mean, I felt like this rush of emotions fall over my body. It was like, what the hell's going on right now? I shouldn't be this emotional about a TV show, but 35 years of me waiting for that moment. And
I got excited as hell myself, man. I remember I was kicked back in my recliner, but then by that point in time, I was sitting up on the edge of my recliner going, what's going on? What's going on? You know, same thing, man. Same freaking thing. I was hair just standing up, man. I was like, I got really excited too.
Well, I'm sitting watching. I watch a lot of shows like my computer. I have a really nice monitor. I have a nice desk set up, a comfortable chair. There's no kids at my computer. I don't have to worry about dogs jumping on me. My wife's not asking me questions and wanting to talk about what she's looking at her phone. So I got my headset on. I'm sitting there watching.
Really zoning
in. And it's real dark around me, you know, and I'm up in it like this. You know, just what? Huh? And I get up and it's over, you know, because that whole scene in the end and they show him and it kind of wraps up. It's maybe 4 or 5 minutes of screen time from when they first started till the end.
Right.
And I get up and I'm like taking a breath and I'm like, I mean, my eyes are welled up. I mean, there's probably a little bit of tear in my face. And I walk in and I'm talking about like, I just had the greatest moment I've ever had in television. Like the greatest thing I've ever seen ever in my life. And I'm trying to explain those emotions to her and she just doesn't understand it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's gender thing. I think it's those people that grew up that were kids in the, you know, that were born between like 1970 and like 1985. Like that generation of kids that grew up with that is, I mean, there wasn't a lot out there. It was it was one of the first not like adult themed movies that you could watch that hit every audience, hit kids and adults. And there wasn't much like that at the time. You know, a lot of the sci-fi stuff was maybe a little bit too much for younger kids. A lot of the action stuff was a little. It was everything. It was. You know, a 7-year-old could watch it, and a 47-year-old could watch it and enjoy it equally. And like I'm trying to explain to her like how this moment just went. It's like that was the most painful thing one of the most painful things I've ever had to do is like I just had this emotional moment in this story that I've loved my whole life, and I can't share it with anybody. Like no one understands what I'm feeling right now and how the emotions are hitting me. And I'm trying to like, it's like when this happened on Dawson's Creek, you know, I'm trying to put it in some kind of perspective for my wife. And she just like, I don't understand. And I'm like, you know, every time you cry on that Seattle doctor show, it's like that. That's how I feel right now. Every time you cry when something happens on that show, I don't know what it's called. She watched some doctor show in Seattle. It was in Seattle. Grey's Anatomy. That's what it was.
Grey's Anatomy. Yeah.
And every day I'd walk in and she'd be crying. And she's like, oh my God, this show's so sad. I'm like, you cry every time you watch this. Why do you keep watching it? Those aren't happy tears. But I've never had something pull that kind of emotion out of me, like a story. And then I thought, you know, when I was a kid, though, reading the books, I had the same emotions as a teenager reading the books. I mean, it wasn't the same, but it's like someone would die in those books and I would have like, you know, I'd feel it. I'm not a big reader. I read, you know, a lot of comic books as a kid, but I've never was a novel reader.
Yeah.
And I would read those books and man, it was just like, you know, there was a whole storyline in the Yuzong Vong War. And these invaders, they didn't know where they were from. They like could block the force and and they were taking over planets, and it was just like that whole. I mean, every time I was on edge reading those stories, like waiting to see what happened next.
Yeah.
And I've never had that with anything outside of Star Wars. I'm a huge X-Men fan. We've talked about it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Outside of Wolverine's adamantium getting ripped out of his body, I've never had that emotion of any kind, even anywhere near of like concern and joy and sadness from a comic book that I had with Star Wars as a kid and as an adult. And it's like, man, it's such a great. It's great having that, having that just story I can always go back to. I could damn near verbatim read you the story. I could tell someone who's never seen it everything that happens from the first 3 movies, like in order,
Right.
And I think most people in our community, I think most of them could too. I think this isn't me alone in this feeling. I think most people who are into comic books are equally into Star Wars.
Yeah, I could tell you each. I vividly remember each time I went to the movies and seen the original 3. When I was 6 years old, it was probably one of the first. Growing up, we would normally go to like the drive-in just because it was easier with 3 kids, and then you'd have like maybe some cousins or friends tagging along too. So my parents would. It was just easier just to throw everybody in a car or a van.
Did you go to the one over in Middletown across from Halsey Myers Lumber?
No, we used to go to Southland 75.
I think the one there was a Dixie. It was a Dixie Drive-In, I think is what that one was called.
Yeah, the one Dixie one. Yeah, we did go to the one there in Dixie. Yeah, the Dixie Drive-In, and
the Drive-In was great. I love the Drive-In.
Yeah, there was one here in Miamisburg also, but I can't think of what it was called. But that was anyway. That was one of the first times that I can remember. I mean, like I said, being 6 years old, that we actually went to the theater. And it had already been out like a month, because I remember my mom saying she didn't want to fight the crowds because it was just that big of a movie. It packed the theaters for a couple of months, for 2-3 months. So it had already been out for a little while. But back then, you never got FOMO'd like you do now. But
I can remember, you didn't have to worry about turning on your social media and finding the whole story in a quick picture text, and it's like, shit, you just ruined the whole thing for me.
Right, exactly, yeah, and and so I can remember us going and seeing that, and then I can remember going to seeing Empire Strikes Back. It was probably one of the first times, because when did that come out? That came out in what?
Which
80?
One?
Empire.
I think it was 77, 80, and 83. I think were the years.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was 80, because that was that's what was funny. Around 9-10 years old, that was one of the first times that our parents just said, dropped us off at the Dayton Mall and said, go see the movie. And here we are, 9-10 years old,
in downtown
running around by ourselves, inside the mall, and went and seen the movie all by ourselves. And then they came back and picked us up a couple hours later. But it's crazy to think about now. You're dropping a 10-year-old off at the mall. Here, go see a movie.
I mean, my wife got mad at me because I let my 12-year-old walk a block and a half to her friend's house today, and my wife's like, "I can't believe you let her walk." I'm like, "It's a block and a half, and we live in the suburbs. Like, what's gonna happen?" But I guess it's a little bit different. It's 12. I was like, my mom would leave us home alone when I was 7. Then, it was like you could do anything but use the stove. That was the only rule.
Right. And then Jedi, I can remember by that time my parents had split up, and I was just living with my dad, and I was out raking leaves and stuff, and I got done, and I was like, "Dad, can I go see a movie?" And he was like, surprised. I can remember it because it surprised the hell out of me. He was just like, "Yeah, where you want to go?" And I was like, Dayton Mall. I didn't even know what time the show was starting, the movie was starting, or anything. I just ran in there and was like, looked at the show times, ran back out to the car and told him.
Called the number.
Yeah, well, no, they didn't even do that. Because a lot of times growing up after my parents divorced, my dad didn't like phones. He didn't like having a phone in the house. So I grew up without having a phone in the house. Imagine that, growing up without a phone in the house, And if he was dating somebody, if they moved in with us, that was the only time. I used to love it when one of his girlfriends would move in with us, because we'd get a phone. I would be like, hell yeah, get a phone. Woo! Be excited about having a phone in the house. But yeah, so I can remember, going up there and running back out to the vehicle saying, no, it starts in like a half an hour. I said, how long a movie is it? And telling him and be like, oh, okay, I'll come back in 3 hours. And I went and seen that movie all by myself the first time. And then after that, I went back with like I think a couple friends of my cousin or something, But yeah, it's one of those things that just, you remember that kind of stuff, that it like you said, it impacts you that much in your life, and I was actually watching Star Wars. Like I said, I've seen it a billion times, and it's the same thing. I can watch it, and it doesn't faze me one bit. It doesn't make me feel like, oh God, I've seen this 1,000 times. I can sit there and watch it again, just like it's like it's new almost. But when I was watching it the other day again,
first time, yeah,
when I was watching it again, it really holds up. I will make that argument with anybody. And it's not because how much I love it or how much of an impact it did, on my childhood and everything else. It really does hold up, considering since, like when he when George Lucas went back through and refurbished a lot of it and added some scenes and this and that. I mean, it's not those scenes that make it hold up. It's just the overall story, the movie, the feel of the movie, the look. Even though it was made in the 70s and through the early 80s, well, that movie, the first one was in the 70s, but mid 70s, it to me, it really holds up. It just does. I mean, I could truly show that to a young kid today and feel like it would hold up enough to grab their attention, if they've never seen it.
I don't know about a young kid today. It's like they got about 8 seconds of attention.
That is true, but I mean,
past the scroll at the beginning, they're like, I got to read, I'm out.
Any comic book or science fiction nerd like us, I think, might enjoy it if they've never seen it,
Yeah, a few things that came out in the comments I've been watching. So someone asked if you stayed for Porky's, and I got to say, probably my dad's favorite movies when I was growing up was Porky's and Porky's Revenge. So I've also seen the Porky's movies lots of times.
Yes.
And I've absolutely played Knights of the Old Republic. It was a great video game. My favorite video game all time is Star Wars Galaxies, which was an MMO, with a massive multiplayer game with lots of people online that Sony had the rights to, and they really screwed it up. But it's my favorite video game of all time. It came out in the late 90s, I think. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Star Wars it's in everything. There's toys, there's video games. They had the coolest toys when I was a kid too. I mean, you remember the toys, right? Nothing had lights and shit on it when we were kids, but Star Wars toys had lights,
Yes.
The TIE fighter blew up. You had a button you could push and the whole thing would pop apart. I mean, it was the coolest toy. And it's heavy, hard plastic. It wasn't junk. I see those at comic book shows too, and I'm like, I want to buy that, but I'm not paying $700 for a toy that cost $12 when I was a kid. Like, I don't need that kind of nostalgia. And I would want to open it and play with it. Like, it's not like a comic book where I'd be okay, leave it. I'd lightly read it and then put it away. Like, I'd want to play with the damn thing.
Right. Well, speaking of toys, do you have anything that you would want to show or anything like that? Show off?
Well, I can show you my Millennium Falcon. It's in progress. So there's a company called Fan Home, and it's expensive to do this. But what they do is they send you 3 or 4 packages a month of all these parts, and you build this thing. And it is a scale replica of the model they used when they filmed the original movies.
Okay,
it's the same size, like legitimately. You can see it. It's up there in the corner. It weighs probably 40 pounds.
Oh wow!
But I'll pull it down. It's not complete.
Is it metal parts or?
It screws together. It's metal and plastic.
Metal and plastic.
It's got lights. I mean,
that is so badass, man.
It's massive. But one of the cooler things on it, let me find out which side it is. Ugh. So I don't know if you can see it. Here, let me kill this light. So, well, the back lights up. You can't really see it. Maybe if I pull back.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But then I think it's this side.
Oh, cool. Oh, and it retracts.
It's got the landing ramp. You can see in the cockpit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, and you can see the framework. It's metal.
Does it come with any figures or anything, Johnny? Or
no, there are sites that do like aftermarket stuff where you can do that.
Yeah.
But even some of the details inside of it. Let me take this off. So you can see like inside, there's the sabac table and the little room where they were in. You got to build all that. And then there's a hallway that goes down into this. That's all lit up. It's just so really, cool, like I said, it's really cool.
Yeah.
I started it 2 years ago.
Wow.
And they send you like four bags a month for 2 years. So yeah, I just thought it was really cool. Had to have it.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, and it's just
love that, dude.
It's there's the little dish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the toys were always cool, and that's like an adult, that's the adult toy.
Oh yeah.
I never had the Millennium Falcon when I was a kid because that was way too expensive for my like I'd be lucky to get an action figure every now and then. We were really poor.
Right.
So I never had that toy, but my neighbor had it, and I'd be like, "Can I go over next door and play with Joel?" Every day. Can I go play with Joel? I just like, hey, let's get the Millennium Falcon out. And then I was a little older. He got the Ewok Village, and the Ewok Village was cool as shit, and it had like the net, and then you could get the Chewbacca that was carrying the C-3PO in the bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was his dad worked at Armco, so he had a lot more money than me.
So. Those were rich people, man. When if somebody's parents worked at Armco, man, yeah, they were the well-off kids.
Yeah, I'll show you another one. Another one of these hot toys that's really cool.
Uh-oh.
All good. Nothing broke. This is a cool one too.
Oh, nice.
Got the little Grogu in the basket.
Yeah, I love the speeders.
But the speeder bike was always real cool. Again, a cool toy. There was a button on the little toy you push here, and the front would blow up. You push that little button on the back of the toy when we were kids.
I used to have a dream when I was a kid, man.
I remember that.
I used to have a dream when I was a kid. And it was the same dream every time. I would be riding a speeder bike from my house to the Dayton Mall.
It wouldn't take long on a speeder bike, though.
No, it wouldn't, man. It was always it was the same dream. I would have it repeatedly, man. And riding that speeder bike.
Yeah. That's how they drove it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. It would have been cool. Like if they ever made that, it'd have been the coolest vehicle ever.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, if they could strap some drone technology to it somehow, and make it work, it'd be sweet.
Well, they were totally making those movies to sell toys too. When you look at like Empire and they're on Hoth and you got a big giant thing that's walking on four legs and why wouldn't you have like just something on some sleds or a track? You got these features and vehicles and you got one that walks on four legs that's slow as shit. Like that just it's to sell a toy, but it's cool. Everybody loved the AT-ATs. They were cool.
Yeah.
But it made no sense. No sense at all.
My cousin's cousin had that thing, man, and it was just always blew me away. I'd always like, man, I think it's so cool. I'd be trying to mess with it and play with it, and stuff. It was just like, wow, that's
probably the most common. That's probably the most common Star Wars toy I see at conventions is the AT-AT in the box.
Oh, really?
I don't know why that is. I do see the Cloud car a lot too. The little orange
the two-seater thing.
Yeah, I see those a lot too, but normally they're not in the box. But the AT-AT and the box, I mean, they're just ratted out boxes usually.
Yeah, everybody kept them in the attic or out in the garage, and the mice just ate the shit out of them. It was like they put mice flavor on the cardboard or something, man. Because it just seems like they just eat the shit out of them.
One of the things.
Chanko made a comment. My cousin Jamie, the one that's been on our shows before, he was my go-to for the Star Wars tours. Yeah, he had everything too. I was the same way. I was like you, Johnny. It was just me and my dad, so I didn't get a lot of toys. So I was always over at Jamie's house, man, because it was like Jamie had everything. So
yeah, I remember that when I was a kid, if I was really good when we went to like Kmart or Hills, I would be able to get one action figure, and they were like $1, you know.
Yeah,
and like I had to be really good. I wasn't allowed to ask for shit the whole time we were in the store. I wasn't allowed to make a scene, and if I was really good, I'd get to pick out one. And I mean, it's like you'd study, like, damn, which one do I want?
Which one do I want? Yeah,
yeah.
Well, I used to get Hot Wheels because they were like $0.25 or 50 cents.
Yeah,
that's what my dad would get me. He'd be like, "Pick out a Hot Wheels." I'd be like, "All right."
You know,
what do you want them dolls for? That's what he would say. He'd say, "What do you want them dolls for?"
Yeah,
that's what my dad dolls, Dad.
My dad called them dolls too, but my dad had the original G.I. Joes. It's like that was a doll. I mean, that was like, it was like a Barbie doll with army clothes on. What are you talking about? You had a doll.
That was Ken doll with a beard.
Yeah, yeah, and a gun. Anything different? They gave him a camouflage suit.
Yeah.
I remember when they announced the new movies that in the 90s coming out, I was like super excited, like everybody. And I think as I've gotten, we're 25 years past those movies coming out. And I think I appreciate them a little bit more now than I did when they came out. Still not great acting, but the stories weren't bad. And I think there was no way, no matter what they did when those movies came out, that it would have been successful because there was so much hype. I mean, I remember everywhere you went, they advertised it. Everything they did, they had Darth Maul everywhere, and that was like the new Darth Vader, and he's like cool, and he's got this double-winded lightsaber, and there's no way they could have ever lived up to the expectation of those movies. But if you go back and watch them now, outside of like the pod racer scene, which is 20 minutes of George Lucas just wanting to show off special effects, and no real purpose. Like the scene at the end where Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Darth Maul are fighting.
Yeah.
When you go back, I mean, the music was always fantastic. John Williams' music was always fantastic in everything he did, even if the movie sucked. But there's that scene where I think Qui-Gon's died, and the force field goes up between Obi-Wan and Darth Maul, and Obi-Wan drops down and he's like meditating, or maybe it's Qui-Gon's down, and Darth Maul is just pacing, raging back and forth. And it's like, when you go back and watch that now and you see that, like, that's such a good representation of the difference in the dark and the light. He's calm and balanced and recovering, and that guy is just raging, exploding, ready to just, and ultimately his fate was his overconfidence and his rage. And I mean, when you look at it from that perspective now, it's much more enjoyable than it was in 1998 or 99 when it came out. The newest movies, the absolute trash. I can't say much good about those other than like Rogue One was really good. I loved Rogue One. But it was a prequel to a story I knew. It wasn't some made up stuff. I mean, the Andor series was fantastic. I don't know if you watched that.
Yes, I did. I enjoyed that immensely. Yeah, the second season just came out. I'd been waiting on that. I was just like, even though I knew it was going to have to end sooner or later because it's a prequel too. It's a prequel to everything.
Yeah,
and
where it ends up at.
Yeah, it's excellent, but you still want to see how they end up there. And then like with Darth Maul, to me, I always felt like they killed that character off too soon. To me, they,
I never watched any of like the cartoons they did, but I guess he comes back in the cartoons.
See, to me, he was the big and bad, but by killing him off so soon, he never got a chance to be the big and bad. I know they had other people they were going to promote, and he had ideas for other people in the other movies, the other two movies, but I don't know. To me, it was a waste of a good character, killing him off in the first movie.
Do you know what race he is?
What's that?
Do you know what his race is? Like his species? Do you know where he's from?
I can't think right offhand.
He's a Zabrak.
A Zabrak?
They got the little, they got, I don't know how you say Zabrak or Zabrak. They got the little bone things on their head.
Yeah, they got the little horns sticking out, growing out of their head.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. I mean, think about how many species they've created of and races of and like, the Chiss or the blue guys like Thrawn, and the Bothans and the Mon Calamari, the fish people. Like, they have so many. It's like, man, there was so much creativity behind those and so much depth in those stories.
Yeah, he didn't just create a world; he created a universe. He created a whole universe.
I think the thing that doesn't get enough credit, that has, like, that was what kind of frustrated me with these newest movies, is like, well, that Kathleen Kennedy, who's an absolute nightmare with LucasArts, right. She's like, well, we don't really have any stories to go off. It's like, are you shitting me? There are there are 150 different books that have been written, if not more, about all these different, Han before he knew everybody, and the kids of Luke Skywalker and Han and Leia, and like, there's so much, and it's great stories. Just put those in a movie, man. It's gold. Put it in a movie, and the depth that people put in, like Timothy Zahn wrote a lot of those books. The depth he built into that world is like, I mean, there's so much detail, and there's so many characters that if you don't read the books, you'll never know who are great characters. That like Tycho, they don't talk about him much. Wedge Antilles, they don't talk about, he made up, he got cut from the first movie, but you see him later on in, I think either at the end of the first movie or in the last movie. And it's like, he's a main character in those books, Wedge Antilles, and he's from Alderaan, and he's got all this stuff. And then they have a guy who's from Corellia, this Corin Horn, and his story, and he's part of the Corellian, like, security defense force, and which is kind of like the Imperials, but not. And, he's from the same place that Han, and all this story that they just threw it all out and said, okay, well, we don't have anything. None of that's canon to the story. It's like, why? Yeah.
The whole, Han Solo movie, man, was heartbreaking. That was heartbreaking. It's like, I was so excited when they announced that, getting this own movie, and then they just, well, I think what ruined that was them switching directors, like mid-movie or whatever it was. It was that's what ruined it. They started out with one person and brought in like Ron Howard to finish it, or it was vice versa, or Ron Howard started it and then they brought in someone else to finish. I forget how it was, but yeah.
At least we finally figured out what parsecs meant, because that was always the argument. They made the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. It's like, wait,
12 parsecs.
That's a measurement of time, or it didn't work out right, and they explained it there, and even in there, that was nice that they finally, all right, cool, we cleared the air of that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I've still watched it several times since it's been out, over the years, but now I just kind of pick it apart when I watch it, and be like, oh man, if they'd have just done this or done that, or left this alone, or, or went more this direction, or, because the guy that played a young Han, he did. I don't feel like he did that bad of a job, but but yeah, it
didn't have a good flow. It kind of jumped a lot. Like, it went really quick from one thing to the next, and then it was on that thing for longer than it should be, and then it jumped really quick to the next thing.
I've watched a YouTube video. You can really tell when they switched directors, because they had a director doing it from like the beginning to like, I don't know the exact moment of time, like minute. It was like the 12th minute or 15th minute of the movie or something. And then that's when it switches to the next director or something. And like you said, the flow just changes, and you can just tell. It's really weird, but yeah. Anyway,
they are. I don't know if you've heard that they are making a sequel to the greatest Star Wars parody of all time. They are making a Spaceballs 2.
Yes.
And Spaceballs was also a fantastic movie.
Yes. Yeah. Mel Brooks. He's like,
I was hoping Rick Moranis would come out of retirement to be in it because his wife died like back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And he stopped making movies completely to raise his kids, but they're grown up now. And it's like, man, I'd love to see him back in it. He was fantastic.
I've seen stuff online where they're saying that he's going to come back to reprise his role and stuff.
That would be awesome.
This Dark Helmet. So yeah, that'd be sweet. I mean, if Mel Brooks at 98 years old decides he wants to make a movie, you know, I think Rick Moranis could come back and be in a movie for 10
he's
seconds.
Like 98, right?
Yeah, he's like 98. He's old and shit, dude.
It's major asshole. This is major asshole, and there's so many just stupid things, stupid funny things like Pizza Hut.
Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah. That hopefully it's good, but in today's climate, as far as people, you know, not being able to really take a joke and everything, it's scary to think of how
pull their punches a lot.
Right? Yeah, that's the only thing. That's as long as they don't, as long as they make it about the movies. If they make jokes about the movies, then they might be all right or something, you know. But it's going to be kind of hard to pull in anything current, but without other people getting all ruffled over it. But yeah, it's you got anything else you want to show or anything? We usually run about an hour. You got about 15 minutes.
Let's see what else I got up there. I'll show you a comic book since we're comic book people here.
All right. Yeah, that'll work. This is a comic book channel. To a point. And yes, Archivist Jar Jar was a garbage.
The greatest movie in comic book format. I love awesome. The art on this too.
Who did the cover? Do you know?
I like the Vader. I think it's Bob Larkin.
Is it?
Yeah, Bob Larkin cover. Yeah, but the Tauntaun's really good. You know,
that's great, man.
Cool. That was such a great scene too in Empire when they, you know, have you seen the Family Guy parodies of Star Wars?
Yes.
Yeah, when Peter does that Tauntaun scene, he's like, "You think that smells bad?" And he just goes on for like 2 minutes, just breathing heavy.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that, and they're very true to the story. Like they don't deviate. They basically tell Star Wars with the Family Guy cast, and I thought that was really good. It's Blue Harvest is the one name of it.
Yeah.
Do you know the story behind the Blue Harvest name?
I
think that was like the production name of the movie when they were making it.
You're right. Yeah. You're right.
And I think that's why they went with that. But yeah, man, Stewie as Vader, it just was so good. And then the pedophile neighbor guy was Obi-Wan, and he's got his lightsaber. It's all hanging over, and he sees the kid, and it just goes like, I needed that in a sword. It's like, this is freaking hilarious. And it's like, it's shocking that they can put that shit on TV. You know, it's like, holy crap, how'd they get away with this?
It's cartoon form, man. That's how they talk about before with that show. With it being cartoon form, they can get away with anything.
Those are the same as like the movies, the Star Wars. I can watch those movies 100 times too.
Yeah,
you know, and they're just so good. Maybe
Yeah,
that's how I
so
get my kids
funny.
into Star Wars. I'll say, hey, let's watch this cartoon, and they will have no idea what it is, and we'll watch the Family Guy Star Wars.
Oh yeah, those are good, man. I forgot about those. I hadn't seen those for a little while.
You know, it's funny too until you start talking about it. Like I don't realize how much stupid crap I knew about Star Wars until you start like talking out loud about it, and it's like just the random facts that and and the other thing that Star Wars did for all movies is they've shown it on that Marvel on the Disney Plus. They do it's like the behind the scenes of Lucas Arts and the Industrial Light and Magic, and it's like everything we have, Jurassic Park, those dinosaurs in Jurassic Park came out of what Star Wars did and what Star Wars started. The abyss, when that water monster swimming through and comes in, like that all came out of what Star Wars did. And it's like it's almost, I wonder where movie making would be at this point had it not been for Industrial Light and Magic. I'm sure they'd be close, but how much did that team advance it? And if you think about it, I remember seeing Jurassic Park in the movies, and if I watch it now, it's like you can see it. But I went to the movies and saw it with my mom, and I was like 15 or 16, and I saw those dinosaurs, and I said, "Holy shit, they got real dinosaurs in this movie." I mean, it was that much. It was, and it wasn't because it was so good. It was because it was so much more advanced than the last thing that I'd seen that had special effects. Like it was such a big jump into that movie, and there was, it was like I was in awe of it. I just, and again, that all came from Star Wars. Without Star Wars, we don't have the level of digital, video editing that we have now. Again, I'm sure they'd still have some level of it, but it wouldn't be where it is. It just wouldn't be there. It would be, that group of people given that leeway to go as far as they could and stretch what technology could do at that time with no budget, no guidance, just go make it work. Here's what we want, make it work, and giving them total leeway to do what they want. I mean, it changed movies.
Yes, it did. Yeah, it really did. Like you said, it, just the innovation of it all, and how they would do back then. They would just have to start a company if it didn't exist. And like you said, someone else may have stepped up, but maybe it wouldn't have been as good.
Yeah, or it might have been 10 years later, 8 years later.
Right.
It's like,
when
we saw Jurassic Park, it would have been stop motion animation instead of, because that's where they were going. That's what Steven Spielberg was trying to do until he met with George Lucas and their team, and they said, look what we can do. And he's like, I want that.
I want that, yeah.
They had filmed a lot of stop motion.
And it's really crazy, too, how, what your eye, when you, like, I can remember when you first, see that movie and how really good it looked, but now your eye gets so used to seeing all this other fake shit. When you go back and look at early fake shit, when you're looking at early stuff like that, like the dinosaurs, now your eye catches it all, and it really stands out to where you can see the difference between, the real image and a fake image or something, just the special effects of it all. But it's crazy how your eye gets used to something and then redevelops with newer stuff every day something new comes out and trains your eye as far as how to see
you learn to see it differently.
So but
one of the big ones for that too for me was you remember Clash of the Titans, like that, the Kraken, man. I was like, holy shit, that Kraken. And you watch it now, it's like, holy, that's trash. I could do a better Kraken than that,
I seen that in the drive-in.
It's just but as a kid, it was the best thing out there when I was a kid.
Oh yeah,
there was nothing like it. Burgess Meredith and the little mechanical owl thing.
I can remember going to the movies with drive-in with my cousin Jamie and his mom and dad, and me and Jamie, we were just like, oh man, that was a great movie. And I remember my uncle, his dad, going, that movie wasn't that good. saying how that movie sucked, And then it was years later, as I got older, I was like, man, he was right. That movie does kind of suck as far as the special effects and everything else, the storyline, everything else. But as a kid, we were just like, oh man, it was awesome. We thought it was great.
The guy holding Medusa's head to turn him to stone.
But Robbie had a statement. Where was that at? He asked me a question about, well, where the hell was it at? I passed it up somewhere. All right. Anyway, he was asking if there was any other space. Where the hell was that at?
Oh, what other space movie would you consider second best to Star Wars?
Yeah. Where was that
I
at?
see it.
I still
I
don't
mean,
see
as
it.
far as movie for me, it's at 751 on the timeline.
Yeah, hell, I don't know. But yeah. What?
Yeah, for me, it's not a movie. I loved Battlestar Galactica, the original series. I think that's as close to Star Wars as I can remember as a kid, like liking as much.
Oh, there it is.
You know, and the effects were good.
Yeah, I'm the same way, man. Space movie considered second best of Star Wars. See, that's a. I mean, I didn't
Ice
like.
Pirates. Remember Ice Pirates?
Ice Pirates. See, I was always a big fan of Star Trek. You know, just watching watching the reruns on TV. I wasn't a fan of the first movie, but
Wrath of Khan was fantastic.
The Wrath of Khan was, they redeemed themselves big time with the Wrath of Khan, and but it still didn't touch Star Wars. You know, it was good, but I don't even know if I consider it second. The Wrath of Khan second to anything Star Wars did, because everything happens on the ship. Basically, there's a little bit of world.
There was no depth in the stories, and there wasn't a lot of character development. I mean, everyone remembers Hal. What are you doing, Hal? You know, the Space Odyssey or whatever.
Oh God, yeah, that movie.
You know, but it was just two people. It's the guy, the voice of the ship, and the guy. It's like there wasn't a whole lot of like casts of people and groups of people. Yeah, 2001. Yeah,
2001: Space Odyssey. Yeah,
you know, and it was more of a it was like a scary sci-fi. Like Alien is a sci-fi, but it's more of a scary sci-fi. You know, I mean, now it doesn't scare me now, but when I was 13, watched it scared the shit out of me. You know, that thing jumps out of that guy's chest. It's terrifying. But, you know,
it happens in space, but to me, it's not a space movie like Star Wars.
Right.
You know what I mean? To me, a space movie doesn't really take place within our reality, I guess, within our realm.
That was in our realm. World. Star Wars was in our realm. It was a long time ago, though, and it was in a galaxy that was like far, far away from it.
Well, that's what I meant. It was in a different galaxy, whole other galaxy. But yeah, I don't know. There's been other space movies I've enjoyed, but not really anything that I would even consider second best.
It's hard. It is hard when you think about
that one. Yeah. I'd have to think about that.
My top 7 space movies are Star Wars movies. So, you know, if we're talking strictly movies, like I said, I also loved the Next Generation, Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah.
Because that was out when I was a kid. I was like 12 when that came out, 11. I had a crush on Deanna Troi. You know, she was the hottest thing on TV. The Right Stuff is a great space movie. That is a great space movie, Lyle. I would agree.
Yeah,
it is 100% about space.
Not outer space, but space. Yeah,
getting into outer space.
But well, Johnny, this has been a blast, man.
Yeah, I've had fun, man. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate it a lot. This was reminiscing about Star Wars, and really like your Falcon, man. That was badass. I wouldn't mind having one of those myself, especially if I could hang it from the ceiling or something.
You can. It's got you can put it with landing gear out or with them retracted.
Oh wow! Okay. It's got like little hooks built into it to distribute the weight, and
it's pretty sturdy. Like it's 2 metal shell frames that are all screwed together inside of it. It's pretty sturdy.
So if you did hang it, it would hang pretty good. That's awesome, man. I'm gonna have to look into that and see if I can find one. But but yeah, appreciate it, man. Thanks everybody in the chat for coming out and hanging out and geeking out with us a little bit. You got anything you want to promote, man? John?
Not really. My internet's been in and out. I'm sure you've seen tonight. I'm probably in and out a little bit. So my Sunday show is going to be recorded the next couple. the next couple weeks. So I do have a hop video that I'll be putting out Sunday. It's a start to finish hop on a book that I think shows some great stuff. So other than that, nothing really going on. I got like 180 books at CG. So there'll be some unboxings at some point.
Yeah, I always look forward to them, man, to see what you get. You put a lot of work into them and stuff when you ship them out like that. It's always nice to see you get a good return, on your grades and stuff, so because you do awesome work. So
I like that.
But
Thanks,
yeah,
I appreciate that.
Next week I've got supposed to have Nate from Haul Yeah Comics. I'm not sure what we're geeking out about yet, but I'm sure it'll be fun, whatever it'll be. This
I can tell it's going to be Star Trek for sure.
Star
Trek.
This Saturday we got the big lovable Lyle on the live show with Chaco and I, and that'll be 8 p.m. Eastern. So Lyle, he's been working on pulling out a bunch of books and stuff, so I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be should be a blast. So hopefully everybody will come out and check it out and see what he brings. It's always interesting when you've got 400 long boxes like Lyle does, you or however many you got, buddy. Bound to have some interesting stuff.
That's a lot of books.
Yeah. I don't know if he has that many. I always joke with him about having that many, but I know he's got quite a bit. But that's awesome, though. But with that, we'll get off here, and everybody have a good rest of your week, and we will see you Saturday. Peace.